Hello, everyone. So, as you can possibly hear, it's raining outside. We're into winter now, early December, and so this is the time of year that I come in the shop and spend a lot of time in here working on projects. And in here, there's always some kind of a Mopar usually over the winter, and this year is no exception. So, this year's candidate is this 1975 Dart Swinger that I bought whenever it was. I don't know if it's been a year, well over a year and a half, something like that. Whenever it was, I bought it, and I've been starting to pick away at all the rust repair that this car needed. So it had some blown out floors in it, which I've cut most of the worst out just because I had nothing else to do at the time. And then the entire trunk back there is gone. I cut that. It's except, well, not exactly. It's actually I saved the right hand trunk floor extension, but that the trunk floor was bombed out, and then the lower quarter over here was gone. So this car had a vinyl top on it, and I don't like vinyl tops because they cause a lot of problems, and this car was no exception. But I was lucky because the top on this car, the steel top, was actually in a lot better condition than I was worried that it was going to be because of how bad the floors were in here. So it'd been passing a lot of water. And so we'll take a look at this. I want to show you why that these tops cause so many problems for people. So one thing, this car, actually the window channel was in good shape on it all the way around, front and rear. And that was a real shock because I thought sure this thing was going to be rotted somewhere because, you know, it was so wet. But it turned out to be solid. Had a little bit of just a little bit of a corrosion pit right there, and then the top itself had a corrosion pit right there. And don't mind that, that's just where I've been treating some of this rust. So the treatment actually causes rust and all that. And I had to make some repairs back here. Made a repair here, and I'm working on a repair around the corner. And you can see it was really pitted around here. And then this side was a little worse off. I had to put a couple patches in here and all that. And then I think it had, no, it wasn't this side, but it had a couple little holes in it. Oh yeah, here it was. So it ended up a little bit of a hole right there. That's a screw hole right there for the trim. Disregard that. But that's actually a hole, just a little spot hole. The metal around it was good. And then it had a little bit of a pinhole up here. And that's all there was. I went through and I had to grind out all the seam sealer. So that's out there too. It looks bad, but it's not in bad shape. Oh yeah, there was one more little spot here, but otherwise not bad. I mean, overall it could have been a lot worse. I've seen these things just turn into Swiss cheese. So why do they cause so many problems? Well, here's the first thing that's going on. If you look right here on the side of the car, right here, so you have this big seam right here, and this is because it's right here. Don't forget, it's right here. It's not over there, it's right here. You have this seam, and they all have it, regardless if they have a solid steel top, painted top, or they have a vinyl top. The difference is, this is where they join the top roof skin to the car. The difference is that the steel top car gets lead in this seam. So this is filled in with lead from the factory, which leads to how they used to do everything before they tried to start saving money. And then they finish the steel top, just, you know, they just smooth it down and it looks perfect. And you never see one of these steel top cars like my other one give problems here. And then you come up here and there's a joint right here also. Same thing up here. Steel top cars, painted top cars get lead in there. The difference in the vinyl top cars get Bondo in this because they're putting a vinyl top over it and they're not so much worried about it being perfect, I suppose. But the whole thing gets filled in with Bondo from the factory. And the problem with Bondo is that Bondo's plastic. and it absorbs water and it conducts water, moisture. So if the vinyl top ever gets compromised, like it's a hole in a pinhole somewhere in here, which they all do because nobody replaces them, or whatever happens, they start to rust in here. And they hold moisture under the vinyl top and everywhere it can get in. So it got a little spot here, got a little spot there, it had gotten ripped up right here, I guess. And it's just like holding a sponge down on it. You might as well just go ahead and just come out with a water hose and water it down every day. And then the seam sealer that they put in here, which they didn't put it except down at the very end down here on the vinyl top cars, and that's where it corroded also, because that seam sealer shrinks a little bit and gets a crack in it and it gets water behind it, and then it starts to rust. And that's the end of it. Rust the car away. Rust all your channels out. So that's that. Then if that wasn't enough, sometimes the seals go bad on the windows, which this car had a different kind of seal in it, which I've never seen before. Most of them just have a rubber gasket that goes around the perimeter of the window frame there, and then you seal that in with sealer, and then you put the glass in, and you've sealed that also. But this one had looked like something you just use in a house. Like it had an adhesive-backed foam strip that went all the way around here. And, I guess it worked fine to begin with, but those things aren't designed to hold up for 50 years, 45 years, whatever the case is. And so they go out, they go bad, they fail, and they start leaking water. The water goes in the floor, the water goes in the trunk. And then just a while ago, I was taking out this thing had these little, for the molding, this is where the molding goes around the car here, back under the top. And see, they fold the top over all this stuff. They fold the top over this and over the window opening. So they're in a hurry. So anyway, what they did was, these things are, let me show one to you. No lights, anybody. So anyway, this is the remains of one of them, and this is the top of it, where the molding fits on. And this is supposed to be a whole thing. It's kind of broken, I guess, but we'll get new ones. But it's got a stud here, and then it's got a nut on the bottom of it that you access through the trunk. So you got one here, you got one here, you got one in the center, you got one out there, you got 5 in total. So the problem I realized, something they did here when I took this one out, is they screwed the screw down over this piece of vinyl top. And you look at the bottom of it, and it looks rusty, like it's been getting water, and it's rusty around where this thing was right there. So what do you think the chances are that this thing was emitting water in there around all that? Probably pretty good. When people go back and rebuild these cars, they usually do a lot better job normally if they know what they're doing. They usually do a lot better job of sealing up the top and the windows and everything than the factory ever did. Factory just, they're just trying to get them out of there. And the last reason why these things rust away is when I was sanding all this glue off, I sanded and sanded and sanded and sanded with my orbital sander. And I realized that they had painted the top, but they only painted it up to about right here. That's the only place there's green paint on here. You come up here on the top of the car, there is no green paint. All there is a very thin coat of primer all over the top of the car. So anyway, that's not good. So because the reason that's not good is because, and they didn't paint it up here. This was, well, they painted some of it. I'll say that they probably tried to paint this A-pillar, but the reason that's not good is because primer, again, unless it's an epoxy primer, it conducts moisture. So any water that got under this top is going to sit there, and it's going to start pitting the top out, and that's game over. So yeah, we got out pretty lucky. There's a lot of work to be done on this. I've got to go back and just do the whole top. I'm not going to tell you what color I'm going to paint it. This top's going to be painted. It's not going to be a vinyl top on it again. Not going through that again. So just have to wait and see. But I thought I would just let you know, if you have one of these cars and it's got bubbles and things like that under the top, and you're wondering what's under there and what's going on and what to expect, well, it could go from pretty bad to not so bad. I hope that it's good news. But if you have one of these cars, if you have any car that has a vinyl top and it's got, it's got a case of the bubbles and stuff like that, like around the window, the best thing you can do is get that top off there. Even if it looks bad, get it off there, fix the rust, and paint it. Do something with it, even if it's only temporary. Because you leave it on there, you're not going to have a top left. You might as well just turn it into convertible. So, all right, just thought I'd let you know. Have a good one.